we're forming a little supergroup. Rock history is marked with supergroups. So for this episode, we're going to be talking about an artist that means a lot to me, who I have some stories about, and we're going to talk about it with a unique group, starting with a great singer-songwriter who I got to know at least like probably 15 years ago or something like that, who I feel close to, and I love his work. And he recently played a Billy Joel tribute in March at Carnegie Hall, a place of some significance in Billy Joel's story, in my life, I think, Phil, in your life.
Yep.
And he has now recorded a new EP called Songs in the Matic, which is such a great and terrible pun, because Songs in the Attic is one of my favorite. I don't like live albums. I listen to almost none, and it's one of the, along with like very, very few, it's a great, great live album.
Incredible live album.
Yes. So we're joined by Matt Nathanson, and we are joined by comedy geniuses, the Sklar Brothers, Jason and Randy. Meet Matt.
Hey, Matt.
And
what's going on, buddy?
I'm going to start by
comedy putts.
Yeah,
Me.
Let's talk about Billy Joel.
Let's spill the beans, chew the fat, food for thought, and jokes on tap. Talking with our mouths full, having fun. A piece of cake and humble pie, serving up a slice of life. Leave the dressing on the side, it's naked lunch. Clothing optional.
Phil, I don't know.
I'm a big Billy Joel fan.
Okay, and you grew up in a place where
I went to school on Long Island.
Yeah.
Right?
Hofstra University.
Okay. Yes.
You lived, breathed, ate Billy Joel.
You were in the epicenter. You were probably
What years were you in college there?
I was in the perfect Billy Joel years. The year Stranger came out. That's when I started.
Oh
college,
yeah.
right. So that's like, and then you go backwards, and you hear Turnstiles. You hear the was that the one that was too sped up?
No, that's Cold Spring
Cold
Harbor.
Spring
Cold Spring Harbor, yeah.
Which I love.
I love
It's
that
a great album,
Love
but
it.
he does sound a little bit like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah,
He didn't
that's
like
why Songs in the Attic is such a great record, because he gets to reinterpret all the songs that he maybe whiffed on
Right,
those
She's
records.
Got Away on Songs in the Attic is killer.
Killing.
I
I've
think
loved these days.
Yes.
Another
I've loved
perfect.
Beautiful.
Miami 2017. Yeah,
Beautiful.
Los Angelinos, I think, is a song that is relevant today. I mean, as relevant every single. He talked about the displacement or being a transplant living out here in a way that I think it's one of the best songs about someone who isn't from Los Angeles moving to Los Angeles.
I thought it was Pro Ice. I always misunderstood it.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Totally misunderstood the song.
Okay.
And Sklar Brothers, Billy Joel, in your life, you grew up in St. Louis, and I guess Billy Joel had big followings in a lot of cities. I know Philly was, huge, but I don't know. St. Louis, did you grow up in a zone of Billy?
So we are cousins who were 10 and 12 years older than us in Canton, Ohio. When we would visit them, they introduced us to a lot of music. And Glass Houses came out in 81, I think. And when Glass Houses came out, there were so many hits on that album. But then all the songs that weren't hits were also incredible on that album. So we would listen to that album, that entire album over and over again. Like Sleeping with the Television On.
My favorite song.
Unbelievable song. All for Lena. All those late songs on there.
I just have to tell you, Sleeping with the Television On is on my playlist. I sleep with headphones, trying not to wake up my wife because I'm not as good a sleeper as she is. Listening to and on my playlist at the middle of the night is Different Beds by Matt Nathanson.
There you go.
Wow.
Sleeping with the Television On, and and about 20 other songs that just I never get sick of.
Right.
So I understand completely. And the interesting thing you said about Glass Houses is that's emotionally my favorite Billy Joel record.
incredible.
He played the Grammys, and at some point we were discussing what second song he would do sort of as the sort of show was ending. And I am pushing for, you got to do You May Be Right. You need something from Glass Houses.
Yeah.
And it was so meaningful to me. And similarly, you don't dismiss the the virtue of Billy Joel.
Absolutely not. I mean, I loved You May Be Right. I love Big Shot. I mean, these are all songs that like sort of as we were coming of age musically sort of. But then later we came back to songs like Great Suburban Showdown and off of Street Life Serenader. And then, of course, Rosalinda's Eyes off 52nd Street and like all these sort of B-sides, if you were, things that weren't big on the radio, but that you start to understand the full catalog. I went back and watched like old concerts, like a concert on YouTube of him that's in black and white,
right,
where he's like basically doing comedy in between the songs. He was very funny, or he still is very funny, but like he would engage with the audience in a great way. I don't know. He would rip it up with them.
And
so Matt, what was your connection to him early on?
You're younger. You're too young to have really experienced, I think, like Stranger and things like that, I imagine. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, for me, the first record was really Songs in the Attic was the one that kind of changed my view of him, because before that, it was kind of MTV songs, and I was not, even though I appreciated those songs at the time, they didn't necessarily ring my bell, like, you know, the way that when I heard Songs in the Attic, when I heard Miami 2017, when I heard those songs, just had an emotional heft to them that felt more, it's funny, in retrospect, they're very Springsteen, but they're much, to me, they spoke to me much more than Springsteen did. Probably because they're better.
You lost Phil right now.
That's all right.
No, and I love Springsteen, but to me, Billy Joel was just such a better melodic writer.
Definitely melodies. I mean, and you actually, I don't want to skip ahead, but I listened to some of the EP, and the single you've released is
Only the Good Die Young,
which is great. It's a very faithful
rendition. Yeah.
But the other one that's on iTunes right now,
Uptown Girl,
that got me because it's a complete reimagining of the song, but you are honoring his melody writing.
Yeah.
That melody is beautiful. And when you slow it down the way you did without the doo-wop component, it's absolutely beautiful in a beautiful, dreamy, nostalgic, gorgeous way. And you could not have done him a better service than doing it that way.
That's awesome. Thank you. No, his sense of melody is his like superpower. He has a couple superpowers, his chords, the chords which he plays against the melodies, and then the melodies. And songs like Uptown Girl, Allentown is another one that's sort of
one of my favorites. Literally an incredible.
I mean, it's like master class level writing, like Brian Wilson level.
Oh yeah.
And he gets none of the credit for his melodies against chords against, I don't know why, but he has hit that bar so many times.
Well, it's like that Elton John doc that I watched. They both have classical training.
Yeah,
they do. But it was so funny. There's an old video like traipsing around on, I'm sure you've seen it on YouTube, on TikTok and whatnot, of Billy Joel like sitting at a piano in an apartment, and he's wearing like one of those page boy hats, and he talks about Elton John, and he talks about Neil Young. He's like, I couldn't write a Neil Young song because it's too simple. He's like, I can't. My mind doesn't think of that way. But at the same moment, it was kind of like a backhanded compliment to Neil Young. But he was like, he just writes in a simple way at the piano, and that's just not what he does. And Elton John, he was like plays a little more. What do you say, bluesy or
he
jazzy?
Says like a ballroom kind of New Orleans, like because he's got more of a barrel.
Honky-tonk.
Yeah. I mean, but those. I mean. You know,
Billy, but I have to say, Billy can be humble, because he told me I interviewed him a number of times, including for a Rolling Stone cover story around the time of Stormfront, where I got to talk to him in the We Didn't Start the Fire, which is a complicated time to speak to him. But he did say I asked about Elton, and he goes, difference is Elton's got 2 good hands, I got 1, which I think is too humble.
That's
because I think Billy is an unbelievable musician. The thing I wanted to ask you, though, is to sort of irritate Phil. I grew up in Tenafly, New Jersey, in Bruce territory. But I went to the student summer program at Cornell, and I remember it was the exact summer where it was like as close to a hip hop feud as I ever had. Was there were the kids from New Jersey and Springsteen? I think it was the River. It must have been T-shirts, and there were all the kids from Long Island in Glass House's Billy Joel, and that was our rumble. If
Yeah.
we were men enough to rumble, that's what we would have.
I was
rumbled.
going to ask Phil, growing up, obviously I know now what the answer is, but there, to love Billy Joel and come from Long Island, but at a time when Springsteen was really the cooler of the two, and Springsteen had his image down. Billy Joel was very transparently Billy Joel the entire way through. Springsteen's was so cultivated, and his image of a gang or whatever. Yeah. And I always imagined Billy Joel's band was much more of a gang, actually, much more of a collaborative experience. And so as a kid growing up, did you have trouble ever with the two in your brain, or did you just kind of hang with both?
That's a great question. I came to them around the same exact time. Billy Joel was more identifiable to me, and Springsteen was more aspirational.
Yes.
I could not ever be cool like Bruce Springsteen, so I idolized him.
Yeah, Bruce
Billy
Springsteen
Joel,
could never be cool like Bruce Springsteen.
As if he was family.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
A familiarity, and yet certainly I would say Springsteen for the rock outside of your personality, and Billy Joel for the more musical side of your personality. The way I felt about Elton in a way, although Elton was foreign.
Yes.
Right?
And Elton is more of Elton to me feels very much more prog rock in the way that he approaches songs. They feel a little bit more, they kind of roll in this way where they don't have structure as traditionally as either Springsteen or Billy Joel. But the Elton John, was kind of an alien, right? Because he was from England and he was sort of dressing weird.
Across the water from us.
But he got to me earliest, Elton.
Oh, he did? Okay, yeah.
So I was born in 1960, so I was 13 when Goodbye Yellow Brick Road came out. And that was the thing that
hit you.
Holy cow, never heard someone so great.
I think Tumbleweed Connection is one of the best albums, top to bottom. And it's like a country album that this guy, every song after song after song after song of that album.
His reign for 6 years.
But his reign of being the coolest, Elton John was the coolest dude ever.
He was our Beatles for our
So we saw the Elton John, Billy Joel Two Pianos tour in St. Louis.
Did you see it, Matt?
No, I didn't see it. That
was a good show.
That was amazing.
Somebody must have film of that.
But Matt, can you tell us about performing at this event where I know Alexa, his daughter, was performing, and he was up sitting with Pink in the Abraham Lincoln Mary
Governor's
Lincoln,
box,
seats up there where what was that experience like?
Other than that, how was the concert, Mrs. Lincoln?
How was the concert, Mr. Joel?
Because I texted you through Richard Marx. This is the wonderful world of music where Richard Marx and
I do. David does all of his texts through Richard.
Yes,
Marx.
I try to.
That's how we got on the show. Richard Marx texted us.
It's a service.
When he has to get to Verizon,
how long is it going to take
to tell them that the router's out? He'll be like,
Wait,
Richard
Matt,
Marx.
where are you sitting right now?
In my house in San Francisco.
Oh, nice.
Love it.
Oh, the question was, tell us about that experience of playing Billy Joel, getting rave reviews, doing Miami 2017, I believe you did, which is amazing.
So I did Go to Extremes and then Miami 2017. I did kind of an acoustic solo version of Go to Extremes, which Phil, to call back to what you were saying, his songs are so bulletproof that you can take them apart.
Yes.
And when you take them apart, I think they could hang being heavy metal songs, folk songs.
Acoustic.
They're just
Structurally sound
and melodically next level. So I did Go to Extremes, and then I did Miami 2017 with his band. Wow. So I got to
that blew me away. That song still blows me away, especially now because I love it. It's always been one of my favorites, along with Summer Highland Falls.
He used to open
Summer Highland Falls.
Right?
Those are
he
two of my
opened his concerts with Miami 2017.
But it just hit me. 2017 used to be something I would think
it's 8 years ago.
Science fiction
9 years
for
ago.
Our future.
I felt the same way about Escape from New York when they said the prison in 20 whatever, and we passed that in the movie.
What about 1999?
We've gone past all the crazy. So playing that show, just to answer, it's I tried not to think about the fact that he was there. I kind of just tried to. I'm such a nerd for music that I just literally reveled in the ability to inhabit such great songs. Yeah. So to be able to be on stage, and also then to be able to have the band kick in was super. It was just crazy. All of a sudden, you had Mark playing saxophone.
Yeah,
you should explain to people who don't know. This was Billy's band.
Yeah, Billy's band backed almost everyone at the Carnegie shows. And it's a different band than what the band was back, there was turnover and churn in that band, but it's still the band that plays with him. Yeah. And so when the kick in for, they drove us underground in Miami 2017 happens, and I'm standing on stage playing this song that I think is magical, and then the band kicks in and the horns kick in and there's a French horn, and it was just one of the most perfect. Those are the moments where you think, my job is the best job ever.
Also, a stone's throw from Broadway itself, where the lights would have gone out.
Everything about it. I've never seen. The only thing I'd seen and this is tying back to the Springsteen thing. I've seen Springsteen a ton. One time I saw him from side stage at Giant Stadium, and I remember looking out and seeing two men that looked like they hadn't experienced an emotion in their entire lives, right?
Yes.
Like two men that looked like their jobs were to drive nails with their fists.
Yeah, sure.
And they look like if you said to them, this makes me upset, they'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yes, walk it off.
Walk it off. They were holding each other during Badlands. Yes. I remember watching Springsteen this way and then turning and looking at the entirety of the stadium. Yeah. And in the front, like 4 rows, these two guys are holding each other, singing every lyric of Badlands, just crying.
Like it's their theme song. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was a similar moment when in the room in Carnegie Hall to sing to people in New York. Yes. And you sing the verse about, before we all lived here in Florida, before the mafia took over Mexico. They sang that like it was a national fucking anthem. And it was the coolest thing that I've ever been a part of, where it was the closest thing I've ever, and I've sung the national anthem, which is another amazing song, but to sing like this song that is the soundtrack to these humans. And then it was incredible.
David and I have a theory that music from the 70s wins.
So I like that theory. I disagree with it, but I like it very much. I think
because you're a little younger, so you probably, for you, and I know as a guy who's done EPs covering before this, U2, Octung Baby, and Def Leppard, what was that called? Pyromatia?
Pyromatia. Yeah. Pyromatia was the record that I did. So it's funny. I think the 70s, I think each decade has a real hot moment where everything just refuses to be bad, where everybody's in a zone, right? Like 1991 is quite a year, and 87 is quite a year. 70, where you go through it and you can't believe how perfect everything is. Yeah. And the 70s had, you get Elton, Joni. You could just rattle it off. It's kind of crazy.
Paul Simon, James Taylor.
Who by the way, you'd get it why people, I think this is the issue we should really focus on, is Billy Joel, I think now is getting a moment where people are beginning to, and this EP, let everyone who's coming to this moment of Billy Joel buy your new EP and show their love. I think the HBO documentary is also a big part of this, which we should discuss.
Good. It was very
incredible.
But when you mentioned talking about Paul Simon, I have a very famous songwriter told me a story about, and this is why I think Billy doesn't always get the respect. It was a story of being in an event where Paul Simon walked over to Billy Joel and gave him, I think it was his birthday. It might have been Billy Joel's birthday. And he got a thesaurus. Paul Simon handed him a thesaurus saying, you should use more words. You should use different words.
Well, and it's fitting that Paul Simon, who is to Bob Dylan what Billy Joel is to Bruce Springsteen, that Paul Simon would be insecure enough to hand Billy Joel a thesaurus. Because to me, it's like he spent his whole life not being cool either. Right. But Paul Simon is a genius, and he could never be as cool as Bob Dylan because he doesn't play that game. So it makes sense that he would be insecure enough to walk over to Billy Joel and be a dick, because Billy Joel is to Springsteen it's the same idea. Billy Joel just doesn't play that game. The game he plays is music. The game Paul Simon plays is music. And like the game Dylan plays and the game Springsteen plays is music, but with the idea of an image, right? That then has to be.
They're both poets in a certain way. Yes. Everybody's a poet, but they're all poets, but they're more.
We go to them for different things. Why should we choose? We don't have to have.
We don't care.
No, I can't. We can't choose. They're all.
They're all phenomenal.
Yep.
It's like what city has the best pizza? Why do I have to? If I'm in Chicago, I'm eating that.
Well, but what's
great.
What's interesting to me is that like my favorite Dylan album is Street Legal, 1978, 79, which is like
Which you said in your "What's in My Bag" Amoeba
Straight up
video,
and-
and I was freaking out. That's my favorite.
Well, but it's not an album of poetry. It's an album where he is singing full throated with background singers and horns, and it's like
being Elvis and Neil Diamond.
exactly, and being a musician more than Bob Dylan, the thing. And so I agree with you. Like I love the music. Like when it comes to the music, but to Phil's point, I'm going to say that that's the beauty with music. We all get to be polygamous when it comes to music.
That's right.
You don't have to
And
be
in
married.
life.
And in life. Oh, sorry. And in Utah. No, but you get to be that when it comes to food and restaurants and music. You don't have to be married to one guy or you don't have to be a Bruce guy. You can be an everybody guy and go to them for different reasons.
Yep.
Yeah, and the idea, that's exactly right. And we break everybody into factions, and it was kind of fun back in the day to break into factions about like my brother loved Van Halen, I love Def Leppard or whatever. But in 2026, it's really boring.
Yeah.
Well, also, we see the pitfalls of tribalism, don't we?
Yes.
Yes. I don't see anything wrong with it, guys. We'll be right back.
The reason the documentary, which by the way, Gary Getzman,
Who's one of my, I love Gary.
Gary's great.
One of my favorite humans on the whole planet.
It's a Playtone movie, and I'm still pissed. I'm not in that one. I'm in the Counting Crows doc, which Gary didn't do.
Right.
And so I'm still
Wait,
pissed.
what's this one coming? You're
The
saying?
Billy Joel one, I wish I was in.
Yeah.
Because
You should have been in.
it's and I should have been in. I'll tell you why I'm not. One theory. I think I, as a critic, remind Billy of not a great moment in his life because I spent a good deal of time with him at the Stormfront era.
Which is an incredible record, I'm just going to say. There's so many great songs on that record.
I agree 100%, except, and I love your version of I Go to Extremes. I have to say, I think We Didn't Start the Fire is sort of takes us to the fact that, and it's something I said to Billy once and may have pissed him off. I said,
I love that song. I love that song.
Okay.
I do not love that
song.
That's my least favorite Billy Joel song.
And it made me in a drunken moment for Billy, not me, but I spent a night with him where he drank more than any human. A whole 24 hours. I've never been around a human who drank more than in that one day with
Then
Billy.
you haven't hung out with Wade Boggs.
But exactly. But at one point I did say, Billy, you should do, and he later did some version of this. I said, he goes, do a box set of the non-hits because I believe there's almost no one less well served by their greatest hits collections than Billy Joel because the best work is not often
So
the
hold,
singles.
okay, I have a theory about there's an underrated part of Billy Joel, which is his delivery. I think that to do the things that he does, we ended what did we do? We did You May Be Right as the encore song at Carnegie. And I listened to that song. I've listened to it my whole life. We all have. But I listened to it obsessively for like 2 days in preparation. And there's a level of, he doesn't give a shit.
Yep.
When he's delivering these lyrics, when he's like, you may be wrong, but you may, and he goes, ow, ow, ow. It's like he has this ability, which is something that not everyone has, right? Human beings look to artists and performers to do things that they could never themselves do. And Billy Joel, to me, We Didn't Start the Fire is such a great example of his delivery of lyrics that in any other context would, and if you analyze them with your brain, they're laughable because you'd be like, what is he talking about? But when he sings rock and roll, the Cola Wars, I Can't Take It Anymore, which in my brain is like, what is he talking about? But the visceralness of the way he sings it because of the way he delivers it, I think his ability as an interpreter of his own music is really just
He's
mad.
phenomenal.
And that song's a great example.
He's Sinatra.
But
I think he's like Sinatra.
He has an incredible range. My only problem with that song is not the content of the song. It's fine and clever as a poem,
right?
To give us the history of the last several decades. However, musically, it's not in the world that we're talking about.
Right. No, it's different. Right, of course.
You can't defend that song.
Which is why probably the 70s to you is the time, because we've never had a more musical, things really coalesced with the musicality of
Yes.
songwriters at that time. They were complex in a way that was also simple when delivered. James Taylor, all these people. So it's like, yes, We Didn't Start the Fire is a basic thing that repeats itself on a loop. Totally.
Well,
Yeah, I get it.
Also, the instruments of the 70s and the way drums were recorded and the way organ music sounded. And when like you get to the 80s and it sounds like a child's instrument, like it's like a jangly, it's synthy stuff. And by the way, there's incredible synth music that leans into it all the way. And I would argue that's the best version of it. But you weren't a lot of times in the 80s, you're not getting the best version of that. Of what those instruments could do, whereas I feel like it was just much warmer and again the way it was done.
There's great in every,
of course,
place. I mean, we can't. Prince is of the '80s.
Right? Yeah,
there's who's better than him?
There's nobody.
Yeah,
right.
No,
so that's
nobody.
another whole different road. To
he
go
is.
down.
I mean, to me, he's. I love this kind of talk. By the way, I mean, this is
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where he plays "While My Guitar Gently Weeps,"
Insane.
and he is the guy who plays that solo, and he falls down, and they pull him back up, and oh my god!
And the Super Bowl,
Right.
And I will say this episode is
Starts
probably going
raining.
to air probably after one we've just did. It's going to be Prince, the 10th anniversary of his passing. So we did an episode with Jimmy Jam and a woman named Andrea Swenson, who's written about him, just talking about his genius. And I will say, but other than that, that's what I think we're finding in this era, that like we're sorting out the ones who are going to be around forever. And I say Prince is in that, Billy Joel is in that. And by the way, I think that HBO doc really helped remind generations of how great.
It was so well done. I texted Gary when I was watching it, and I was like, I can't get enough. This should be 9 hours long. This is like the best thing. And every time, some people said, is Billy coming to the Carnegie Hall show? And I said, I don't know, because they say he is, but watching this documentary, he's going to shoot himself in the face with a flare gun on the drive up. I mean, like, that guy could not have made more bad decisions. It's like, it was like his job. Every time he's like, I think I'm going to go for a bike ride and break both my hands, like before the big show.
Wow.
Well, by the way, a decision to allow your first wife to be in your documentary paid off for him in a way. I will say there's two of my artists I loved growing up. Warren Zevon, who I don't know if any of you like.
love Warren Zevon.
Warren Zevon had his first wife, his ex-wife, write his biography as he was, it came out posthumously. A very shaky decision. But I will say that Billy Joel's first wife being in that doc was amazing. Because
the fact that no one hated him.
Yes.
The fact that nobody, like John Mellencamp hates everybody. And they have him in the video and he's like, you know who my favorite is? Billy Joel. And it's just like, this guy is charmed.
The little bastard liked
liked Billy Joel.
There was a moment in that documentary when he and his first wife and her son are hanging out in someone else's house in Malibu. With the pool out there. And you're like, this moment for Billy Joel, and I don't know Billy Joel, but this moment probably was his happiest maybe moment of his life. And you think about the music that came out of that moment and that time. He had this woman who was a badass who was representing him and taking crap. And she was like, he's my guy. And this son that he loved, an instant family that like he was suddenly a part of, even though it came apart
under weird circumstances.
Even though he took his,
and his best friend sings his praises. His best friend's like, I love Billy.
But like even all that stuff, that moment, I was like, this was like part of why family is important. We talk about this, why having a family around you is important too.
Well, by the way, all of us, I believe, are united. This is a rarity in show business. I think we're all married to only one person ever, right?
Yes.
I don't think my wife would speak nearly as well as me as his ex-wife speaks.
Yes. No.
Wait, I'm working on something.
I'll get back to you.
Yes.
He's going to take Billy Joel's final wife.
Just he has like 4, right? He's in his fourth wife now.
Yeah.
I do think the documentary at the end where it really talked about his like the current Billy Joel right now. I like that. It's in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I think it spent too much time in him like explaining that. The beginning part of it and all the footage of him coming up and whatnot was the thing that I gravitated. I could watch
that story.
The first half again.
He was playing classical music and his father came down and whacked him in the head.
Yeah.
And knocked him off the bench because he didn't think he was playing it right.
Yeah.
the daddy issue with him, and it's like
the fact that he brought his dad back out onto stage at that moment that all these folks that celebrate their father. I'm a big fan of letting go of those people in my life. I've cut off my entire family almost, but like it really is
we don't
incredible.
have time for this.
Yeah, no.
It really. Hold on, let me just lie down on this couch.
Yes.
But it really is like an incredible thing that he still felt the need to like to prove himself to this man who was, like you said, Phil, so obviously not the guy.
We have a joke in our stand-up about how like people ask us, because they hear our act, like, do you love your kids? We're like, we love our kids. We love our kids so much they'll never be generational athletes. This applies to them. Like, because you can't nurture a child and then expect
You have to be the thing they want to overcome to be great.
You have to be the obstacle that they have to, the immovable mountain. If you don't believe us, LeBron James' dad not around for LeBron.
Right.
LeBron around for Bronny.
yes.
All right. Anyway,
All don't lie. I mean, that literally is.
We're in the
that's
cheap
point.
seats now.
This is the point. But my point is that, like, yes, like his desire to want to bring his dad on stage for that moment, and I think that was that at Carnegie Hall?
It was somewhere very like I don't know. It was special. It was like a moment that he made it about him. Like,
it was the biggest deal ever, and I still, as I watched that, I'm like, his dad didn't appreciate it enough. I was like, he didn't appreciate enough the fact that this is Billy. I'm like, are you kidding me?
What I loved about the documentary also was I got to know him. You know, I spent a lot of time with him. And I know that he's a complex human being. And when they talk about him being a big drinker, none of that was made up. I mean, he literally drank more than any human I ever was around. I don't drink, so it wasn't like we were going back and forth. And he had, I think it was like 18 beers, 12 sambucas, a few mixed drinks, and with a guy who's not drinking. And then we went to dinner at a place called Della Fema. There was a famous ad man who had a restaurant on the island, Jerry Della Fema. I don't know if you remember him, but in any case, he ordered wine that ended up being like $3,000 of wine over for two of us. Wow. And then I looked at him like, what am I fucking going to do with this check? Rolling Stone will not pay this expense. And another great thing he did for me, he goes, I know, Jan, I got the check.
Wow.
Thank God.
Wow.
But the end of that night ended up with me and the two of us at a Holiday Inn where I was staying near the Armory where he was rehearsing. And he was so drunk, I did go to the front desk and said, can I get a room for Mr. Joel? Because he should not be driving back to his place. And they said, we're sold out for the night. So if he's staying here, he's staying in your bed. If I'd had two beds, I might have entertained it. I let him drive and he got home. And one of the many times,
Jesus.
but
You couldn't take one for the team and sleep with Billy Joel?
sleep on the floor so Billy
By the way,
Joel
you
could
could have gotten him a cab. Let's just be honest here. Pay for the man to get a cab.
an Uber I could have done.
He's like, Rolling Stone wouldn't have paid for the cab. God damn it, Rolling Stone.
I think a lot of people would have said, move over.
That's right. I'll be the
I
little
spent the
spoon,
night with Billy Joel.
I would have slept with Springsteen. That's the difference. I definitely
Little
would have
spoon. Oh, you would have slept.
By the way, remember
with
when
the television
he was on tour with Elton? Elton, in the middle of the tour, put out a thing in the paper saying Billy Joel needs to get straight.
Stop drinking.
He publicly chastised him because nothing was working.
Didn't he say that Billy climbed under the piano and like tied Elton's shoes together during it? Like he did that on stage,
But
and
that's
Elton
funny.
was not.
That's what a drunk guy does.
Yeah,
But
I do feel like Elton John and Billie Jean King are morphing into the same person. I'm just going to say that.
I'm a fan of both.
Hey,
I will say.
same.
Both of them could beat Bobby Riggs in tennis.
The last thing I'll say to reveal, overshare about Billy is that when he was at his most drunk, he had earlier in the day said, I don't give a shit about critics. Fuck critics.
Yeah.
At 1 a.m, 2 a.m, in a restaurant that was closed where he was knocking back Sambuca and coffee. I don't even know, some kind of liqueur, right?
Yeah.
And he said he was quoting every bad review.
Oh, dude,
From
of course.
Because
of course.
the ones you remember.
He is a sensitive.
Yes, of course.
He's not
Sensitive
the
guy.
tough guy Sinatra.
He has to be, because look at the things he created.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
you can't be. You have to be porous, as all you are all creatives. That in order to be
You
porous,
can't turn it off.
Yeah, and to be that on top of your game, and to be that assassinated repeatedly. I think Billy Joel and Phil Collins might be the two that got the least respect and have the most, like, whatever that term is my kid uses, the most prizes or whatever. Like when somebody wins, it's like Phil Collins could not have done better in the 80s and could not have come out of that process feeling less positive about
Validated.
Phil Collins.
He was incredible, and he's having another life now because his songs are like making onto TikTok and whatnot. I mean, he's like, but it just another like whole generation of.
Well, by the way, over time, I think real talent wills out. Neil Diamond was a guy who I got to know extremely well, who got
Another
no
great
credit.
writer.
Right.
Image-wise, was in the wrong place for many decades, and yet ultimately, I think people are completely rediscovering the genius of it.
Yes.
Yeah, Neil Diamond's another one where he was a bulletproof writer, and all those the Monkey songs, it's like they just I think that's the thing that shows up, but it's so hard to know because so much of it has to do with how you're presented, so much of it has to do with the era in which you grew up, in which you became successful. So I think it's songs. I think songs really do stand the test of time, but there's a lot of songs that don't. So I don't know the answer to it, but it's nice to think that craft wins because it gives you this feeling that we spend so much energy trying to craft our stuff that maybe that's the thing that's going to be immortal, but and the people we're talking about all do it better than anyone. Springsteen as well, that, you could pull, there's albums worth of Springsteen greatness. We could talk about it forever, but if you can, anybody that's, I'm not a religious person, but anybody that's channeled God in that many ways, that many times, right? Who's been able to sort of like connect to the greater whole. Springsteen, it's just like, I don't think you could listen to Born to Run. I don't think you could listen to Jungle Land. I don't think you could listen to Devils and Dust. I don't think you could listen to that and think anything other than like, well, the work has paid off for this person.
But also, look, he's touring right now.
Yeah.
And he's 100% relevant to the time he's living in.
Yeah.
The people are so inspired. The reviews of the concerts right now are best show I ever saw in my life. It was like going to a political rally and church and a giant rock and roll show all in one.
He also knows who he is. He knows who he is. My friend went to the show in LA, and he's like one of my friends. We all have friends who are a little bit older who inspire you, and he's turned me on to so much music. I'm going to shout him out, Peter Begler. He went to the show and he's like, what I loved was hearing Bruce sing songs, the new songs that I didn't know. Yeah. The reason I love listening to him sing is that he wrote these songs for his voice right now.
Yes.
So he's singing the new song. He's like, I loved them. I'd never heard these songs before.
25 years ago, he's already passed Born to Run and The River and all of that.
And The Rising.
The Rising.
Yep.
Oh, I just listened to The Rising, top to bottom.
Yes.
That song, The Rising.
Yeah.
About 9/11.
Yes.
Like you hear that song, you're like, if I didn't know that was about 9/11.
It's still a great song.
On its own.
Yes.
That song.
That's the genius of that album. He never says 9/11.
Not once. Not once does he say Twin Towers. That's hard to do that. Jay, you saw Neil Young after Katrina. So Neil Young puts out a song like 3 days after Katrina, and I'm like, maybe workshop it for a week.
And that's where Neil Young's genius.
So did Paul McCartney.
Neil Young and Paul McCartney have a different kind of genius where no one edits those people. So it's like, so Neil Young can write something like, he can do Harvest Moon, which is the latest example of something that's really beautiful and sort of unbelievable. And then he'll do and Hank to Hendrix, which was also good. And then sometimes you'll be like Let It Roll, that song he wrote about, it's just a little bit too
song about his dog King. I put on Harvest Moon and my wife, because on our record player, and it gets to the song about King was an old dog and he was a friend of mine. And my wife is like, turn this shit off. Turn it off right now. I'm like, he made one bad song on the album.
Right. But this is the thing, woman. This is the thing that makes him such a treasure of a human, is that he has no filter.
None.
And McCartney's the same way. He just writes. There was a scene in that Dave Grohl documentary where they're sitting around the mic and they're talking and they're singing harmonies on a Nirvana song that Paul was fronting. They were recording a thing with Chris and Dave and Pat. And there's a moment where Dave Grohl turns to McCartney and he goes, I wish it could always be this easy. And Paul McCartney turns to him and goes, it is. And because to him,
if you're Paul McCartney,
but to him, it's not. To him, the act of creativity is so it's unburdened by judgment and assassination. And Neil Young is in the same place. It's different than Springsteen's is so wrought with his self-hatred.
Yeah.
But Neil Young and people like that, those people, and Prince, there's an element of unfettered confidence in who they are that's just
flows out.
magical.
That Paul McCartney documentary is on Apple. Is the Beatles. There's a Paul
the Wings
McCartney
one. Yeah,
the
yeah.
Wings one is unbelievable.
Incredible.
Where he goes off up in northern England and he lives on the sheep
So where
farm.
they do the ram or where
Scotland. Yeah, where they go and they live in Scotland and like it's unbelievable.
To me, I always thought, because of what I was seeing, that John was the smartest one, that John was the genius of the. But when you see Get Back, and you see Paul McCartney will that song into being, because it has to be now, right in front of you. It's like someone is doing a magic trick right in front of you, and you have no idea how they did it.
Oh yeah, Paul kept it going.
I don't mean to keep nerding out, but this is the thing about Born to Run to me that's so exciting. Springsteen is such an average. Billy Joel obviously is touched from a melodic and a musical sense that makes him kind of exceptional.
Yeah.
Springsteen is so ordinary. And to me, what's so great about Born to Run is that his melody choices are limited, right? Where he can go with his voice, it all lives within a certain spot. And he wants this song to lift off. Yeah. And how does he do it? And he's beating his head against this song. And it's like, how do I do it? How do I do it?
John Landau's head.
He's beating everybody's head. And then what he does is he just decides to take the chord and run down every note. Bum, 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 bum. And he wills it so that the highways jam with broken heroes explodes. It explodes because he fucking wills it to explode. He demands that song do what he wants, even though he doesn't have the skill to make it do that. It's like he just bashes through the wall with his head. And to me, that is worth its weight in gold for power. As a very average person, it's the only thing I've got.
But it's raw power.
And he counts it off so he can bring the audience with him. That's in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. You come with me.
Yes.
I'm bringing you on this ride, which is to me the reason why everyone loves him.
No, it's
and did you guys grow up like Phil? Did you grow up kind of blue collar?
Not really. Suburban.
Okay, because there's an element of like. There's an element of every personness. Obviously, Springsteen plays it to the nines, but to me, it's what makes a band like U2 so good as well. It's like they are very human people channeling something so much bigger than them.
Yes.
It's like, it's exceptional. It's the best part about
getting
it.
to know 3 of the Beatles, that's who they were. They're like Liverpudlian wit and like the way they kept each other in check by making fun of one another.
Oh, yeah.
They still do it to you.
Yes.
It's remarkable. I want to tell one Springsteen story just to sort of show that like even the pop guys need to get the respect, the Brian Wilsons and the Billy Joels, the melodic musical geniuses, because, and Springsteen, to his credit, recognizes that, because on the very weekend that he wrote The Streets of Minneapolis, I, by total coincidence, was the weekend before the Grammys, and I realized we had tried different things. We didn't have a tribute at all to Brian Wilson. And I went to the executive producer and I said, we need to do something. You can't let Brian Wilson go and just be one more photo. And so he goes, what will we do? And I made some suggestion that let's do at least a little short film. So I wrote this is like one of the greatest things I could ever get to do. I wrote a little 30-second tribute to him in the voice of Bruce Springsteen. And I sent it to Landau and said, Bruce, would you do this and rewrite it? I learned about music and how to talk about music from listening to you in concert. So just don't take any of it. And the same day he wrote and recorded that song, I know because of it was
the timeline, the timeline.
That weekend, he recorded on his VO. He rewrote it. He took one line and made it infinitely better, like, because he's the brilliant writer, took the rest and sent it back while he was writing probably the most meaningful song he's written in the last decade.
Yeah.
But he did it because, and the reason I think he did it was because he wrote a song that I love, that I mentioned my note about this, called Girls in Their Summer Clothes, which is
that song.
A nod to Brian Wilson. I said,
love that
because
song.
of that song, and it struck me, there's like, oh, you were the guy writing about beaches on the East Coast, Brian was the guy who defined beaches on the West Coast.
And I just listened to this thing about how the Who was so, and Pete Townsend was so, and Keith Moon were so into Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys, they wanted to be the Beach Boys. The Who wanted to be the goddamn Beach Boys.
Yes.
If you
And
see
Pete-
their
and
earliest
Pete's-
stuff, have you ever seen The Kids Are All Right?
Yes.
And you see their earliest stuff, it's hilarious.
Yeah, they do Bob Moran. They do Bob Moran in The Kids Are All Right.
right.
But
I
that's
think
it.
Keith Moon sings Barbara Ann.
Yeah.
Pete's another one who is just, we go for, he is one of our touched genius. Greatest. Literally the greatest.
So I'm sure you've seen this clip of Pete Townsend acoustically at Royal Albert Hall doing
Yes.
We Don't Get Fooled Again, where
Yes.
he messes up the lyrics, but stays in the song.
Yes.
And in those moments, you realize that, okay, he wrote this song, and you think about the power that needs to be behind the vocals in that, that is Roger Daltrey, the power of a working class guy, Roger Daltrey.
Yeah.
When he sits down with the acoustic, I don't know who's playing guitar with him, but when they play that, it makes me think of you, Matt, the acoustic stripped down version of that song.
Yeah.
The power of that version,
Yes.
even with the screw up in the middle.
Yes.
It's one of the most powerful versions of that song
it's
I've ever
great.
heard.
No, it's right. And you're totally right. And his music is an extension. His melodic ideas are an extension of his voice. That's why when he does the breakdown in Baba O'Reilly of the guitar part, right? Or he sings Don't Cry, that part, it makes you cry. Just his playing makes you tear up.
Yeah.
Because
It's
he's like,
so
it's an
great.
extension of who he is. It's so great when people are when there's nothing between this and this in any art, when it comes to comedy, when it comes to writing, when it comes to, it's like when it just comes out of you in the flow state. And when we get to experience it for the rest of our lives, it's so great. It's the best.
Amen.
And that's why you are on that midnight playlist for me. And the song that's on there by Pete Townsend, his demo version of So Sad About Us, the one that's on one of his demo collections.
Of course.
And I think it's the most beautiful thing I've ever
That song
heard.
is magical. That song is magical. And then his version of Save It for Later from Secret Policeman's Other Ball that he
unreal.
plays. Unbelievable. I mean,
unbelievable.
dude, we get to live in a world with this. It's fantastic.
Incredible. I love it.
You're a nerd, man.
It's the best. It's my favorite thing. You guys, this has been such a joy.
I want you to come when you're in LA next, come and sit here and in person and we'll have lunch.
I would love it. And I would love to nerd out with all of you guys on music. This is the
Matt,
best.
you're in San Francisco?
Yeah.
Come see us.
We're headlining Cobb's Comedy Club in June.
June 19th and 20th. Come and hang with us. And
I'll
we'll
totally
go.
come. I'll take you to, if you guys want the best tacos of your life, I'll take you to
We are,
tacos.
man. You're going to come with us and we're going to go do karaoke. There's a very skinny karaoke bar in Chinatown. You're going to come with us afterwards and we're just going to mess around and
Oh,
sing.
dude,
By the way-
I'm 1,000% in.
We've talked so much about Billy Joel. I just want to say that Matt I hope he will be in San Francisco one of the days you're there, because he's on tour with, it's Train and Bare Naked Ladies doing all sorts of
Whole
places.
summer, yeah.
The whole summer.
I love Stephen
Tell
Page.
Stephen Page we said hi. He's a good
I
buddy.
totally will.
The best.
Oh, he's not in the band anymore, is he?
He's doing his own solo thing. Those guys are great too.
I
Phenomenal.
won't tell them. I don't think they all.
Tell them. Don't tell them. We love Stephen Page too.
But thank you. And by the way, Phil, you will like, Matt is not only the damn good looking nerd that
Yes.
he is and a music nerd, but also I think like my son was never impressed with me, but we went out. There was one weekend at that Sketch Fest where Chris Isaac was our Uber driver.
Oh,
and we
Chris.
had lunch near Matt. And my son was like, I had no idea what all cool people like you.
Yeah.
And so thank you for making my son think I was cool for
You are
one
cool.
day.
You
You are
cool.
cool. You're cooler than all this. Your stories are
The
exceptional.
best.
The greatest.
And Phil,
He knows everything.
You're also a person that's here.
who's at the table.
Yeah.
Well,
Phil,
he
we-
now has a restaurant. I'm going to say you have to you've been to Max and Helen.
Love
It's
it.
the greatest place
Best.
in LA. And if
Very
people
nice.
don't go there,
Good luck getting in.
yeah.
You can get it.
All right.
I'm going.
Go.
Come on.
It's the best.
We didn't share a picture, but can we say who we had dinner with there?
We can.
We went to a Ringo event talking about
Oh,
great
yeah.
artists and bands and people we love. And afterwards, when you're with Phil, T-Bone sort of grabbed him to the backstage, and then Jeff Bridges was there as the moderator. And Phil goes, "You guys want to have dinner at Max and Helen's?" they drove across LA, crossed the 405 at rush hour, and we had dinner with those
Phil,
two.
the rooms that you've been in, like the humans that you have your heroes, I mean, it must be fantastic that you get to just, I mean,
Still
like,
my heart.
the respect that they have for you.
It sounds like you're living it. It sounds like to play Carnegie Hall, Billy Joel, I mean.
Magic.
It's the best part of the actual, the job itself is the best job ever. And then
we're all the same. We wouldn't be doing it if we weren't fans. So when you meet your heroes and they're nice, what's better than that?
Yep, it's true.
Amen.
So we love all you guys, and more, please. That's what I say.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on, you guys. This was great.
So much fun.
Thank you so much.
boys.
Naked Lunch is a podcast by Phil Rosenthal and David Wild. Theme song and music by Brad Paisley. Produced by Will Sterling and Ryan Tillotson. With video editing by Daniel Ferreira. And motion graphics by Ali Ahmed. Executive produced by Phil Rosenthal, David Wild, and our consulting journalist is Pamela Chellan. If you enjoyed the show, share it with a friend. But if you can't take my word for it, take Phil's.
And don't forget to leave a good rating and review. We like 5 stars, you know.
Thanks for listening to Naked Lunch, a Lucky Bastards production.